If you'd like to help me out, you may want to check me out on Patreon. The link is in the description below.
Yes, Duke Muse, you are exactly right. However,
a prince from Ghastone, not a superpower but still decently sized. Any noble with a title like that was no slouch.
In that case, I do hope you will put to ease the minds of everyone here and provide payment, following the international regulations of the Council of the West.
Duke Muse was a powerful noble, but he was still acting like a gentleman in these negotiations. Mjolmile was an important person in my government, but for now, he had no official title or noble name. He was still something of a guest, with some temporary power as my representative at times like this. Rigurd, one of my ministers, was also there, but the fact that this prince remembered Mjolmile's name and dealt with him personally. It was literally the royal treatment. I mean, a noble remembering a commoner's name, oftentimes, even if they knew the name, which was frequently not the case, they'd pretend not to. That was how nobility worked, apparently, the way Mjolmile described it to me, so I bet he's the most surprised of all right now.
please, Duke Muse, just one moment. Our initial contract stipulated that payment via customary methods is acceptable. By customary, of course.
Mjolmile, I am not here to concern myself with such trifling matters. When working with merchants, and with nations as well, trust is the most important thing. And trust is something created by keeping one's promises, is it not?
You are absolutely right, my prince, but
Silence. These people engaged in business with you because they trusted your team. You have no intention of trampling over this trust, do you?
of course not. But we have our own issues to deal with.
I see. So that's how it is, Mjolmile? Well, fortunately for you, I've got an idea for how to solve those issues. Would we be able to talk in private for a moment? You can take Sir Rigurd there with you.
Ah, so that settled it. It was exactly what Elmesia had warned me about. It was like when something I studied until I had it perfectly down showed up on the test, that feeling of total control. It was like I had that inside me. I'm gonna ace this.
What do you mean?
Mjolmile continued, making a grand act out of it. Like any veteran merchant, he was both cold-blooded and a born actor. He must have realized the same thing I did, but he didn't let any of it show on his face. I could probably just leave things to him and this problem would be solved, but I didn't want it that way. It was time to take action. There was no point eavesdropping forever. I wanted to end this farce sooner rather than later. Diablo opened the doors wide.
That will not be necessary.
I said as I walked through them. Behind me was Benimaru, followed by Shion and then Diablo, who quietly closed the door behind us.
Did you wait long?
Benimaru asked, nodding at the merchants.
You're being rather loud, you know.
The merchants looked surprised to see me, my words turning them pale. They must have figured I'd stay away and let Rigurd and the others handle matters, but here I was with my staff. I didn't think they knew what to do next.
The Demon Lord Rimuru has entered the building.
Rigurd said, glaring at the merchants.
Bow your heads.
A few of them stood up and hurriedly bowed. The majority stayed in their seats, giving me funny looks. It figured, if you're a small-time tradesman, not educated in dealing with nobility, it's hard to react instantly. Duke Muse himself was about to rise, so I spoke up to save him the trouble.
No need for such formality, Rigurd.
I said with a smile as I looked around the meeting hall. Rigurd nodded and quietly stood aside. Among the crowd, I saw not only merchants but a few journalists in disguise. I suppose they were going to report this far and wide if we disgraced ourselves as a country. Maybe I'd fall to my knees and tearfully admit that we couldn't pay. Maybe I'd violently force the merchants to clam up. Either way, they'd play up the details in scandalous fashion in their articles, no doubt. But we were on to them. A journalist more loyal to our side snitched about this to Diablo. Thus, he had praised the media assembled.
How laudable of you all.
But they looked dreadfully scared, their smiles frozen in place. I could tell they had a strong desire not to antagonize Diablo. Something bad must have happened to them before. It sounded a bit threatening of him, but that was an issue between Diablo and the press, not me. It'd be clownish if I was to intervene.
Well, the Demon Lord Rimuru. I hope you are doing well at the moment. I apologize that we have not come to know each other before now.
He was the perfect prince, giving me an elegant bow. My presence threw him for only a moment. He regained his composure soon after. A gentle, relaxed expression was on his face as he greeted me for the rest of the group.
Duke Muse from the Kingdom of Ghastone? What brings you here? I'm not sure we had any pressing business with you?
I smiled back, beginning with the line I'd prepared in advance. I wasn't the type to wither in front of royalty, and here, too, I managed to smoothly handle the occasion. Advance prep and review are so important.
Well, you see, there are some tradesmen here doing business with this nation for the first time at your festival, and they have come to me claiming their valid rights have been neglected. It is the job of the nobility to protect their citizens, and while I regret my rude directness, I have come to mediate on this issue.
So brazen. You could just tell he was completely black-hearted. I'm not far behind him, but since I'm a slime, I'm fetchingly translucent compared to him.
I see. But that's strange. Mjolmile over there told me that our budget is ample enough. If people are still waiting for payment, then why is that?
Ah, well, these people only accept payment in dwarven gold coins.
Mjolmile was just meant for the stage. He took my question meekly, attempting to explain the issue, only to have Duke Muse interrupt him.
Isn't that to be expected, Mjolmile? A legitimate merchant from Bloomen such as yourself should be fully cognizant of international commercial law, I would believe. Unlike the slipshod members of the Free Guild, the only currency these people trust is dwarven gold.
Duke Muse was on the merchant's side, not raising his voice a bit as he pleaded their case, making certain he remained a benevolent third party. I was sure he was waiting for the moment when he could intervene with me and make Tempest owe him a favor. For now, on the surface, he was acting tremendously fair. But all he was really doing was pushing his own rules on us. I glanced at Diablo. He read my signal and nodded back, smiling. We were all set to go.
Ah, yes, I see. I had heard that members of the international media were here, so I was wondering what the issue was, but it was something that trivial?
That is why, Sir Rimuru, if you would be able to leave this matter to myself.
Now Benimaru spoke up. His imposing presence visibly unnerved some of the merchants. They must have thought I was going to threaten them into doing my bidding, like their plan called for.
Not so fast, Benimaru. Based on what I hear, I can understand the concerns of these merchants.
The audience looked a tad surprised that I held Benimaru back. Or dissatisfied, maybe. Things were going well, and then I had to rain on the parade.
But, Sir Rimuru, I can't help but wonder. They may not be dwarven coins, but we do have ancient gold coins. If they will not accept those, I think we could provide them with the equivalent value of our Tempest-made goods. Why are they not content with that?
I agree with you, but I'm sure the merchants have their reasons.
I gauged Duke Muse's response as Benimaru and I bantered. He seemed to be waiting for a chance to speak up, unite the merchants, and entrap me.
Then how about this? Perhaps you could place your trust in our nation and, as Benimaru suggested, accept IOUs or goods in equivalent value.
Mjolmile, seeking to end this quickly, got the ball rolling. If the other side agreed to this, then perfect, we had an amicable agreement in hand. But if not, if I was standing here at the negotiation table and they were willing to make me look foolish, then I was prepared for that.
I don't believe a word of it.
Yeah.
This is a nation of monsters, and that is exactly why we seek payment in reliable, trustworthy dwarven gold coins. I hope you will find it in your heart to understand that and, please, be generous in your...
The merchants here ran the gamut, from complete neophytes to veterans familiar with manners around nobility. But either way, their responses were all one-sided, not taking me into consideration at all. Ah, I thought. It's too bad. Muse thought the time had come. He was worried the merchants might grow hesitant when faced with the demon lord's coercive ways, but so far they were following his instructions, just as he planned. And if you think about it, it made sense. Muse was a prince in Ghastone. He was young, just 35 years of age, but he had ties to the powerful Razo family. This made him one of the rulers of the Western nations, part of just a small handful of upper-class nobility. Practically speaking, only a very few people could afford to turn their backs on his orders. This plan came in the form of an order to him from the eldest member of the Razo family. Muse was asked to make the demon lord Rimuru owe him a favor and gain his trust, and if he succeeded, he was promised a promotion to the 5 elders. Yes, the 5 elders, the very peak of the entire world. Muse was elated, and at the same time, he swore to tap every power at his command to execute this order, no matter what it took. Thus he promised a lucrative future to the self-interested merchants he made contact with. He brought in newspaper writers from around the world to ensure his own safety. And now he was personally facing the Demon Lord, the lone job he couldn't leave to anyone else. This Rimuru had made his presence known only a short time ago, but he had already killed Clayman, renowned for his cold cruelty, and declared himself a new demon lord. A fearsome one, said to be connected to the storm dragon that laid waste to an army of 20,000. Meeting him in person terrified Muse, but when placed on the scales with the glory he could earn, it was easy to bottle up his fears. Muse himself knew exactly what he wanted. That's why he was being used like this, although he hadn't noticed. It was exactly the way Elmesia El Ruthalion pictured it. Seeing the demon lord and his personal staff in person honestly came as a surprise to Muse. He was planning to talk Mjolmile into a corner and ask him to bring the demon lord over. But while this wasn't quite in the script, it did save him some time. They had reporters in the audience, and there were many more in the hall below this one. Everything was set up. Once the merchants rejected the demon lord's offers, Muse's plan was all but complete. After that, he just had to assuage the merchants and start running this room. That's all it would take to make Rimuru start to thank him. A calm smile emerged on his face as he began to speak, already convinced of his success.
How about this, Sir Rimuru? If you are in something of a financial bind, then perhaps you could discuss matters with me personally? Indeed, fate may have brought us together here for a reason. If I could be of service to...
It was just as I predicted, and a pretty shoddy acting job, too. Duke Muse was making the request. My officials, standing behind me, looked on coldly at him. Noticing their gazes, the Duke appeared a tad flustered. Maybe he felt something wasn't going to plan, but it was too late for him. Time to serve things up.
I appreciate the offer, but it will not be needed. Come in.
Following my order, Geld lumbered into the hall, carrying a large tray loaded high into the air with gold coins.
Wah, no.
Is all of that?
The crowd stirred. The moment he laid eyes on the coins, the color of Duke Muse's face visibly changed. He must have realized that his plan of action had failed.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel.
Shout out to Nightgazer, You Were Ollie, Thomas McAllister, Mark Manello, Rahul Subramanian, Hexalix Lux, James Yap, Maximum Fishing, Chaitanya Anamdar, and last but not the least, shout out to AnimeKouhai Dagnogo. I'll see you guys in the next video.